This morning, Nintendo announced their new Nintendo Switch OLED edition, and I think we're all collectively asking Nintendo the same question.
Where's the rest of you?
Like many of you, I was excitedly anticipating the new Nintendo Switch, which we thought would be the Nintendo Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch. Either way, it was going to have new internal hardware, 4K gaming, better resolution, better frame rates, all of the above. I think that we all knew about the OLED screen for a while. While that is super cool, because I love OLED, I have an OLED TV, I can't stop singing praises about it. It's just very frustrating that the internal hardware won't be upgraded. And I'm forced to ask myself after the frustration passes, why did Nintendo do this? There is the notion that Nintendo is always about making its money back. They're charging more for this model than the previous model without even upgrading the internals. With the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One to the Xbox One X, they upgraded the internals, so while they were charging you more, they were giving you more. Here, they're not giving you a heck of a lot more. It's pretty much the same thing. The screen is slightly bigger and it's OLED, and while it's beautiful, it's not that much more. I'm wondering why. Is it the chip shortage that is affecting multiple industries? Is that why? In certain parts of the world, the pandemic is subsiding, people are getting vaccinated, normalcy is returning, and so people are moving again. They're mobile again, and so maybe that's why they're focused on the mobile aspect of this device as opposed to the living room aspect of the device, which is how I experience it more than anything else. I do take my Switch off the dock to play whenever I'm dropping a deuce in the toilet. Other than that, I'm usually playing it on the living room TV. I wanted that experience to be better. However, considering what happened with the PS5, I have to ask myself, would I even be able to get my hands on one? Because very likely, it's very, very likely, if Nintendo had upgraded the internals, none of us would get our hands on it for a while, at least a year, because the scalpers would get it first. These bots are so freaking fast. I still don't have a PS5. I've been trying for a while. Every time I try to get one, I can't. It's infuriating. It's so infuriating. And so, in a way, I'm relieved. I don't have to have FOMO about the Nintendo Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch, as it were. And that's cool. I already have the Nintendo Switch, and the experience is fine. I don't sit on the toilet with the game long enough. You shouldn't be sitting on the toilet that long. I don't sit on the toilet long enough with the Switch to warrant getting an OLED model. They're charging you more for a nicer screen. I feel like they should be charging you the same amount because they've been making this thing for a while. They've clearly made their money back. They should be charging you the same $300 price tag for the new edition and just drop the price of the older one. It's very baffling, but Nintendo has its reasons. Nintendo knows something I don't. You know, every time we excitedly anticipate which direction Nintendo's gonna go, it goes this other direction. And this has been happening for years. As far back as like the Nintendo 64. It's like people were like, why won't you go disc? No, we're staying cartridge. And they stayed cartridge. Sometimes them going their own direction shoots them in the foot. Sometimes it works in their favor, because when they did the Wii, everyone bought the Wii. It sold out more than the PS, whatever was it at the time? PS3 and the Xbox 360. Sorry, it took me a second. It was the best-selling system of that generation because of the tennis game. And then they did the Wii U and everyone was like scratching their heads. And then they did the Switch and people were like, wait, no, don't do, oh, it's good. Okay, cool. So they go their own way all the time. Nintendo does what Nintendo wants to do. And half the time, we love it, half the time we don't. And I think that this is one of those instances where we don't love it, but I don't know that they had a heck of a lot of options. Given the chip shortage, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of my ass here, but I feel like that has to have had an impact. Also, maybe Nintendo's focusing on the mobile market because people are going back into the world, they're traveling again. People want something nicer to play with. And this is the best Nintendo can do, is give you a better screen. Because there's no shortage of screens, there's a shortage of chips. Them charging more for the OLED model, I think, is the most infuriating thing. You didn't upgrade the internal hardware, fine. I get it. There's reasons why you can't do it. I probably wouldn't have been able to get my hands on it anyway if you made it that much better than the last one. But charging more for a system that's been out for a while just because you updated the screen, when the experience is pretty much exactly the same, it seems insane to me. Maybe, you know, when you sit down and play with that OLED screen, if you are someone who plays the Nintendo Switch Mobile more than anything else, maybe that is a wildly different experience. The colors are more vibrant. I mean, I remember going from like the Nintendo DS to the 3DS, and that was a fundamentally different experience. Playing on the 3DS made the graphics look nicer. I don't know how that makes any sense, but the 3D element made it feel so much more cool, that's the easiest way to put it. So maybe it's gonna be a similar upgrade from the Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch OLED edition. Maybe it's gonna feel that much different with the colors being more vibrant and popping. I don't even care about the better resolution, to be honest with you, just better frame rates in general. And the Nintendo Switch is delivering on that front as far as Mario Kart is concerned. But I remember playing Zelda and it's just like, I wish this was 60 frames. And it's not like you can get it on another system. There is part of me that goes, well, maybe I should just get one of those PC things that they're doing that is like a Nintendo Switch. It's basically a Nintendo Switch ripoff, but with way more beefier hardware. It's a much more beefier, robust thing all around. The ones I'm thinking of that I've seen on Linus Tech Tips are beefy and cool looking. It's like to be able to play a full-fledged PC game like the way you would play Breath of the Wild. It's a pretty cool idea. I haven't bought one yet. Just anticipating that I'd be spending that money on the Nintendo Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch, but I guess that's not happening. And it wouldn't have happened anyway because of the scalpers, so I'll just buy one of those PC Switches. Let me know your feelings in the comments below. I know that many of you are frustrated, but I'm trying to be open-minded about this, and imagine that Nintendo knows something that we don't. We're not going to get a Nintendo Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch anytime soon, unless this is like the last hurrah for the Nintendo Switch before they kill it off and replace it with the Nintendo Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch. Maybe we'll get something new in a year that we can't get our hands on because of scalpers. Maybe. We'll see. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm Jaby Koay. Peace out.